Hello, and welcome to the Sustainable Commodities podcast. I'm Barnaby Patchett, MD of 199, a marketing agency working in sustainability. It's a special solo episode today, which includes a series of short interviews I recorded live at RT2024, the big annual event from the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil, which was held in Bangkok, Thailand, in November 2024. Please note, these interviews were recorded just before the pivotal vote on EUDR, so the content does reflect that. I hope you enjoy. Hello, I'm here at RT2024 with Cat Barton from Chester Zoo.
Hi, thanks for having me along.
Yeah, welcome to the Sustainable Commodities podcast. So, how are you finding it?
Yeah, really interesting. So this is my first RT.
Me too.
So we're both experiencing for the first time. I've had lots of involvement with RSPO over the years, working on palm oil, but mainly Europe-based. So I've been to a lot of the European meetings where you get a lot more kind of manufacturers, and we'll get some of the retailers and kind of very European-based, with it being the consumer market. Whereas this one, much more interesting because, not much more interesting conference, but more interesting for me this year to hear from the growers' side and hear a bit more about the challenges on the ground and the successes on the ground, because it is mainly kind of growers from around the palm oil landscape here.
What has what have been the big messages that are coming from growers?
I guess like one of the things that I've really picked up on actually is kind of the smallholder side. So, and also the ongoing conversation of how people are going to meet EUDR is still cropping up. So it's just interesting to hear it from their point of view as well, and their side, to see that those are issues that we still need to try and overcome, and probably a lot of backwards and forwards to try and rectify some of those issues, both with complying with EUDR and also bringing smallholders into that equation. And making sure that smallholders and mills on the ground are kind of pulled into that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, they talk a lot about shared responsibility here, but it's in practice, that's the thing that needs to happen, and it's making sure it does.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of your work around, not just in palm oil, but what's your role? What are you doing at the moment?
Yeah, so my role, I'm policy lead for deforestation-free commodities at Chester Zoo. So I essentially work on anything that is linked to the key forest risk commodities, palm oil being our main focus, but we're starting to bring in the other commodities like soy, and I will work the whole way through the supply chain. So everything we do at the zoo will focus around preventing extinction of biodiversity. That's, as a conservation education charity, that's why we exist, is preventing extinction of wildlife. So everything goes back to the on the ground. So certainly for palm oil, it's about our landscape projects out in Sabah, Malaysia and Borneo. And from that, we will then work through that supply chain and try and essentially help the situation on the ground by increasing that demand for sustainable palm oil. So trying to close up that gap in between supply and demand, helping on the ground where we can in terms of reforestation, wildlife corridor projects, biodiversity surveys for smallholders that our partners do, but then backing it up at our end of the supply chain as a consumer market with positive sustainable palm oil messages, encouraging a perception change of sustainable palm oil, and encouraging businesses as well to speak out about their sustainable palm oil use as much as we can.
Aren't we both? Yeah, and that's a real challenge. I think we both picked up from the conference.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the biggest challenges I think we've got in terms of increasing the demand to increase the supply of sustainable palm oil. It's gonna have to start with that perceptions change and education. And it can't just be left to NGOs to do that work. We've got to all share that responsibility through the supply chain. We've got to stop companies hiding behind the bad press of palm oil.
Yeah.
And actually together there's a lot of, especially NGOs, that are now very supportive of the RSPO sustainable palm oil. There are always things to work on. There's always going to be things that we can improve. But in general, very supportive of the RSPO. And so with companies sourcing say 100% segregated, like be proud, like shout it loud and proud, and we can then start together to change that perception, the negative image of farm.
I couldn't agree more with that. Obviously, working in comms for several different businesses in the UK who are doing just that. In terms of your work, in terms of that comms work, one of your big project is the Sustainable Palm Oil Communities. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so this project was born out of Sustainable Fish Cities, which actually started in London in 2012. So it was an already tried and tested campaign, and it was around increasing demand for MSC fish at the time of the London Olympics, actually. And we used their model and developed it for palm oil, so we could use it as a palm oil city. So we developed that for Chester, set the criteria for becoming a sustainable palm oil city, and through our work through the hospitality chain, so both at the zoo, then with local restaurants, cafes, workplaces, local manufacturers, but very much focused around independent businesses, worked to help change policies, help with procurement and auditing of sustainable palm oil, and then helped people to talk about the message as part of this collaborative campaign. Nice. So it's very much a behaviour change campaign. Oh. Once we'd achieved that, and it actually took off even further, so we've now got 6 other communities around the UK that are working to be either a sustainable palm oil town or region or village. And that's been amazing because we've got different organisations running that. So other zoos, we've got Ethica, who work with the government on forest risk commodities, Sumatra and Orangutan Society leading it in Chester, and then other zoos and aquariums. So it is a massive piece of work with lots of people pulling together to try and make a difference. What that's given us now, though, is a national voice, which we didn't have in Chester. So we worked with very local independents in Chester, but now we have a bit more of a national voice. We've got national ambassadors on board, so the likes of Q Partnership, the likes of Co-op, for example, have all come on board with the project because they represent every single community within our project. So that's given us a bit more opportunity to talk a bit more loudly about sustainable palm oil with those businesses.
I mean, it's been great to see. I've seen the impact. I constantly refer back to stuff, obviously, in my own work that you've done. So the future, looking kind of ahead, do you think the future's bright for sustainable palm oil, or do you think that there's still a long way to go? Where do you feel we're at?
Yeah, I feel like it's bright in that for legislation like the EUDR coming in and the UK due diligence, the RSPO certification is going to be a mechanism to achieve sustainable palm oil. So in terms of other commodities, with palm oil, we're in a much stronger position meeting some of this legislation. So in that sense, it's bright. I'm still seeing a lot of kind of palm oil free campaigns, and which you don't get for the other commodities. Soy doesn't have the same, no one's really asking where their chocolate and their coffee is coming from in the same way as they are with palm. No. So I still find it really interesting that we've got this kind of villain of the piece from a consumer point of view, but then from a industry point of view, we've got a leader in terms of sustainability, and how you can have those 2 different levels is beyond me. So we somehow need to bring those together a little bit more and really push out some of the positives. So we need kind of a lot more data on kind of the biodiversity impacts of sustainable palm oil, the deforestation rates having decreased. All of that really needs to come out into the public. So we're looking at, for us, certainly for the foreseeable, looking at how we can help with that and really push out that message, but also how we can help in getting some of that data from the field as well.
Yeah, I think in terms of the opportunities to do that, they've probably never been better now, because with things like EUDR, palm's getting grouped in with other commodities for the first time. It's not just being spoken about alone. True. It's being treated in a similar way. It'd be really interesting to see how it goes, and I know that both of us will be here. Yeah, so at the forefront of that.
Championing together.
Over the coming years. Thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we can do a longer episode when we're back in the UK.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Cheers. Hello, I'm here at RT2024 with Leo Bottrill from MapHubs. Welcome to the Sustainable Commodities podcast.
Great, many thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's thanks for coming on. So before we start, tell us a little bit about yourself and MapHubs.
I'm the founder of MapHubs. We're a geospatial technology company. We're based in the US, founded in 2017. My background is I'm a geographer by training, and I spent most of the early part of my career working in conservation, field conservation, then in a policy role based in Washington, D.C. for the Wild Wildlife Fund, and then sort of gravitated towards the private sector. And in the sort of 2015 period, here I am.
Yeah, here you are, out in Thailand. How's the conference been for you?
Very busy, very interesting. Yeah, there's an awful lot of moving parts with palm oil these days, but it was a really great opportunity to get different stakeholders, companies, service providers, NGOs all together in one room because there's some very big things going on at the moment. So it was really fascinating, but very tiring.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the big things, I guess one of the big things coming up in Europe at the moment is EUDR. I mean, I think everyone should take a drink whenever I mention EUDR in this podcast. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on the current state of EUDR? I mean, we're talking on Wednesday, the day before the big vote. What's your perspective?
Yeah, I don't think I had a single conversation with anyone here that did not involve the EUDR. It's on everybody's mind. I don't think we're going to know much, and obviously until the vote. I think those who know me know I have quite strong opinions about the delay, me personally being very much against it. And this new proposal to delay it a further 2 years, along with another series of amendments, would be, in my opinion, massively damaging to the credibility of both the EUDR and of the entire legislative process in the EU.
Yeah, well, I think that's something I would concur with, especially from a reputational perspective, bringing it back to the comms side. You know, the EU's taking the lead on legislation, but if it's not doing it very well, what is it good for?
No, exactly. So, you know, I think everyone's in a wait and see position right now. I mean, we of course are just going to assume there will likely be a 1 year delay, and so you know we're sort of preparing with that likelihood in mind. But you know, if the EUDR is dramatically changed, then I think there will be a massive evaluation, both on our customers' part and on our part in what role we will play, what whether we'll continue to invest in the EUDR.
Absolutely, I think that people who've invested a lot so far, if they've invested it for naught, or they didn't have to, what does that say the next piece of legislation they want to bring up?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not an EU policy specialist. I've sort of become a little bit of one because of my involvement in the EUDR and the preparations for it. But from my understanding, there were lots of ways that without, we know that large parts of both the palm oil industry and other commodities in scope were not ready, but other large parts really were ready. And of course, those that were ready are extremely annoyed about this delay, and those that weren't ready are very happy about it. So, I don't know what it says basically in terms of whether we'll see. I mean, I guess I will say that I think if the EUDR is in fact delayed or it is changed, and I still believe, I've been saying this to everyone I've spoken to, something else will emerge that will provide a strong regulation and a credible regulation for commodities linked to deforestation. I think it's inevitable. I think voters want it. I think customers want it. We need something which is credible because we're at the point now where everyone's experiencing climate change,
Yeah. Great. I mean, that sounds, like a very fair assessment, I think, of where we're at with it. So kind of looking to the future, and I know it's hard given the current state of things, but moving forward, what's the future for palm oil? What's the future of sustainable palm oil?
Future sustainable palm oil. That's a very big question.
Yeah.
I could give. To think about it is like, one of the alarming things I think a lot of the analysts have been seeing was a spike in deforestation in 2023.
Yeah.
So we know that the historical rates of deforestation have declined, but we have seen a slow uptick in the past few years with a pronounced uptick in 2023.
Yes.
And we'll wait to see what happens in 2024. I think it will probably be similar, possibly a little higher, maybe a little lower, but it's going to be in that ballpark. So we still have persistent deforestation linked to the palm oil sector. And I know that's not the only part of sustainability, but it's obviously a big part of it. So we still have a lot of work to do. I mean, that's just, I think, what the stats are telling us. But the fact of the matter is, the more that we have traceability, the more that we can see how performance is occurring at a plantation scale, we are seeing that it is increasingly outliers that are causing a lot of the deforestation. What mechanisms we have to bring those outliers in, and I know there's a concern that the EUDR was just going to cause a leakage effect of the laggards going to non-EU marketplaces. Yep. But I think that doesn't do the non-EU markets justice. I think that the Chinese consumers and Chinese people are very concerned about deforestation and concerned about climate change as well. I know there are efforts that are going on inside China now to consider something resembling the EUDR. I believe some NGOs are leading on that. So I think it's a massive presumption that we're not going to have big demand markets for palm oil pushing the upstream in Indonesia, Malaysia, and other countries as well, newer palm oil countries, from being credibly deforestation free.
Yeah, and I think EUDR sets that precedent, though, doesn't it? That's the thing that potentially could set a blueprint for them. It potentially could set some standards that they could follow. And the size of the market in China compared to the EU is huge.
This is what, again, it's something I've always said, is like we had an opportunity with the EUDR, we have an opportunity, I should say, we have an opportunity to prove it can be done.
Yeah.
So, and we as a service provider and a technology company, we've been building the systems, and there are many companies that are now developing systems that can prove that you can collect, organize, analyze thousands, even millions of polygons, and demonstrate the deforestation free, trace them downstream. It is doable. I mean, of course, I think the first beginning was going to be quite a few hiccups, to say the least, without implementing such an ambitious law. But the fact is that the EU can demonstrate, the EUDR can demonstrate that it can be done, and that, as you said, it creates an enormous precedent and opportunity for other markets to follow in its lead.
And I know that your technology and software platform can be part of that solution. Where should people go if they want to learn more about your software?
So the platform that we provide for companies trying to do EUDR compliance or NDP is palmoil.io. So just type in palmoil.io and you'll find it, basically. That's
great. Well, thank you very much, Leo. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Hello, I'm here with Taufiq Alimi. He is the Executive Director for Southeast Asia for Proforest. Welcome to the Sustainable Commodities podcast.
Thank you.
Can we start by just tell me a bit more about what you do?
Yes, thank you. I'm Taufiq Alimi. I work for Proforest. Very recent, actually. This is like my 4th month. Today is, what date is today? 13, so it's 4 months plus 5.
Oh, right.
So
yes.
It's very, very, very.
So new to the role.
New to the role. And I have been working in various sectors, mostly on natural resource management, including forestry. I was National Forestry Council Executive Chair in Indonesia. I led the Indonesian Eco-Labeling Institute, which was also certifying the sustainable forestry management. And then I moved to marine space on managing rare in Indonesia and other countries to work on fisheries and marine conservation with Clinton Foundation on climate, so around that space. And now
you ended up at Proforest.
Proforest, and among other things that we do in Proforest is really on trying to bring the sector, which is palm oil or oil palm, depending on where you are at the industry or at the farmers, to be more responsible, valuing the nature that has contributed a lot in making sure that we have a good, very useful, economically important commodities, or oil palm, and also ensuring that while we are doing so, getting the benefits from palm oil, we are also ensuring that all the people in the supply chain improve their livelihood, and also because it also may affect the climate, and then that also need to be addressed. So we are basically in Proforest trying to see those three outcomes, the nature, people, and climate, to be well addressed, so that while we are enjoying the production of oil palm, enjoying the benefit of it, enjoying the value of it, we do not jeopardize the future of our generation and the quality of nature, their livelihood, and also the climate. So, and with Proforest, what I do is really managing the program in Southeast Asia, covering Indonesia and Malaysia, and other places. Yeah.
Lovely. So we're here at RT2024. How's the conference going for you?
Oh, this is my first time, to be honest.
Yeah, and mine.
Okay. the last year I was invited to join and facilitated meeting of smallholders. So that was my first exposure about RT, not really in the RT, but on the conversation of smallholders to prepare their message to the larger group. So now I'm here with the badge as a delegate, which is very new to me. But I find it very, very interesting for many reasons. One is that the spirit of collaboration is really there.
Yeah.
The spirit of finding solutions is really there. And the openness of addressing views, addressing whatever differences is there. So I really enjoy it very much. And I had spoken with many people, and I see that there are innovative thinking behind whatever we are doing here. And I also enjoyed the speech from Teo Cheng Hai on the history, on how it's being brought from what it was in 21 years ago, moving down to the line here, and looking forward to the future, 2020, 20 years ahead of the time. So really, it's a great event, and I haven't seen many things like this. Usually it's quite hot, quite heated, a lot of debate, a lot of things. But here, I see a lot of collaboration, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned there in terms of the past, present, and future of palm. I guess where do you see the future of palm oil over the next 20 years?
So, as we know, 80% of the palm oil production is coming from Malaysia and Indonesia, where Proforest works mainly. And for these two countries, if we look at the data, let's say in Indonesia, the contribution to GDP is 4.5%. And the number of people employed in the sector is 6 million.
It's a lot.
And then Malaysia, 3.7% in the contribution of GDP and 2 million workers. So it's not small numbers.
No.
We are talking about millions of lives here. And the dependence, if we multiply by 5, then you are already talking about 40 million people, a size of a country already.
Yeah.
So it is important in that sense. And because of its significance and importance, if anything that happens with palm oil, I think is too big to fall. If it somehow decline, the effect is massive, and then there will be multiplying effect that goes down to everywhere. So I think we cannot afford to have palm oil sector to even decline. Hopefully it's steady or even growth. So in order for us to continue growing, and as I said earlier, to grow without sacrificing and jeopardizing the future of nature and people and climate, we need to make sure that the sector continue consistent in ensuring its sustainability. It is to adhere to sustainability principle, and it to adhere to getting the benefit and maximizing the economic viability without disrupting the natural integrity, and also to bring the social equity. So I think this is the parameter that we need to continue with. And I see that there are a lot of movement within the companies that they are really seriously investing in that. So in short, it needs to continue growing, yet grow in the right direction.
But that's a nice positive outlook on it, in terms of you see that the improvement will continue, and that that things will keep getting better.
Hopefully. Of course, there are challenges. I'm not saying that without challenges. There are challenges here and there. There are several areas where there may be conflicts. There are areas where certain individuals, certain group of people, there are others who are not knowing the boundaries or deliberately encroaching. There are things like that. But those are things that we need to address. And I think it's a responsibility of both companies, government, and also community leaders. So we need to work together on that.
So talking about both challenges and opportunities, I guess EUDR would be the thing that's probably most interesting to some of our listeners. What do you think about the delay on EUDR?
I was a bit expecting you are saying challenge, EUDR is a challenge, which is not. It's a driver to improve.
Okay.
Way back in the early 2000s, we had a similar thing on timber. There was the legality question from European Union and initiative of VPA, Voluntary Partnership Agreement with Malaysia, Indonesia. Indonesia was the only country that signed the VPA agreement finally. So similar thing happened now on other sector, which include palm oil. And I think the market requirement from a country or states like European Union and others maybe in the future is something that for producing countries need to consider very carefully. If markets demand that is a signal for something. There might be something that need to be rectified, and they want to use the market as an instrument for improvement. It is not necessarily always a trade restriction. It's not about trade war, but it is about us moving forward better as the citizen of the globe. So I think that's the first thing how I see EUDR. And now that this is being postponed, I think it's good because it gives us breathing space.
Okay.
While we have that space, I think there are several things that we can do. One, strengthening the clarity and certainty on the guideline, on the whatever. There are a lot of details that were coming rather late and may not coming there at all yet.
No.
So I think having this breathing space is better for everybody because then we can start relax, sit back, not really relax, but sit back and start digging deeper, understanding better, and then be more prepared.
Yeah.
For European Union, perhaps it's time to start coming out with a better information, better clarity and everything.
I support that. The comms has not been a positive of this legislation.
Well, yeah. That's why. So we are lucky that finally we are come to sense that, okay, postpone it for improvement and then also to prepare the companies to engage smallholders because as we know, not all the oil farms that are giving us the good fruit is coming from company-owned plantation. There are many coming from smallholders, and that's where I think we need a lot of works to address that, and also giving a right guidance, thorough, comprehensive, and clear guidance for everybody, so that we have playing field with the clear rules. So I think we hope that's going to happen with this postponement.
Great. I will thank you very much for your time.
It's my pleasure.
Taufiq, and where can people go to find out more about Proforest?
I think there are places that we can look at our website at www.proforest.net. That's where all the information is there.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hello, I'm here at RT2024 with Shofia Saleh from the World Resources Institute Indonesia. Welcome to the Sustainable Commodities Podcast.
Thank you, Barnaby. Thank you for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. Before we go into the questions, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at World Resources Institute.
Okay, my name is Shofia Saleh. I'm currently working at World Resources Institute Indonesia, or WRI Indonesia, as Supply Chain Transformation Research Lead, and I'm based in Jakarta. So basically, I lead research related to sustainable commodities, particularly palm oil, because this commodity is one of the most important ones for the Indonesian economy. And besides that, I also work on smallholder data registration to support the Indonesian government in increasing commodity traceability.
Ah, nice. Yeah, and how's the conference been for you?
So, this is not my first time coming to RSPO, and so far I've been enjoying this conference. And it's amazing to see the commitment and the willingness of stakeholders here to make palm oil becomes more sustainable and having less negative impact to the environment while improving the livelihood of local communities. And I also see so many companies and so many NGOs have brilliant initiatives, brilliant programs and innovation to do so. I feel like people from around the world coming to this event every year, and it's a good thing because then we can coordinate and collaborate and finding more opportunities to work together to achieve this goal.
Yeah, the collaboration, I've heard a lot.
Yeah, so many collaborations, so many meetings so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a busy time. I guess be more specific, because you're obviously you're working for World Resources Institute Indonesia.
Yeah.
In terms of one of the big things we've talked about on the podcast over the last year has obviously been EUDR.
Mm-hmm.
How are the Indonesian smallholders preparing for EUDR?
It's a good question. So, basically, Indonesian smallholders contribute to around 40% of palm oil production in the country, and there are around 3 million smallholders to date. And I'm not sure if all Indonesian smallholders are already aware about the EUDR condition, given that some of them are living in remote areas and they may not very well exposed to this information, except for those who are already involved in sustainability initiatives or sustainability programs such as RSPO or Indonesian Sustainable Palm Oil Certification, which is similar to RSPO. And I think they're the ones who are more aware of this information.
Yeah, okay. In terms of EUDR, we're talking here on Wednesday, on the last day of the conference. Tomorrow there's a big vote.
Yes.
Where it looks likely that things will be delayed.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that delay? What's the impact? Is it good? Is it bad?
Well, from my perspective is that the delay of the EUDR is kind of controversial. So some people may feel relief and some may not agree about the delay. And for the Indonesian palm oil industry itself, I think this is a good opportunity. They still have to expedite their preparation in order to comply with this regulation, of course, but this additional time is good for them to sit down together and work synergistically to become fully ready at some point. And I feel like without strong collaboration, I personally don't think Indonesia will ever be ready for EUDR.
Okay, so you need that. The time is welcome.
Okay. Yeah.
But we need more collaboration for that to
of
come
course,
together.
Yeah.
Great. I guess looking a bit broader, so EUDR comes in. Things are changing all the time. What does the future look like for palm oil?
For me, it's a difficult question, to be honest. But on one hand, palm oil is still very much needed in our daily life, and it's kind of hard to be substituted with our other types of vegetable oils because of its high yield, and also it's the cheapest price so far compared to other vegetable oil. But on another hand, if the palm oil governance is not improved significantly and become fully sustainable, it would put more pressure to our environment and contribute to climate crisis situation that we are facing now. And it may affect the demand of the market on this commodity in the long run. So I guess it depends in our hands now and the next generation whether we can produce sustainable palm oil that are good for the environment, for community, and for all people in general.
So finding that balance between people and planet,
definitely.
Always the thing. We hear that time and time again. We hear that in terms of balancing those economic needs with the needs of the planet, and it's a hard road to walk.
Yeah, of course.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time. And,
thank you.
Where can people go somewhere to find out more about your work? Or
you can find me on the website wrindonesia.org.
Great. Thank you. Hello, I'm here with Luca Fischer from Koltiva. He is Head of B2B Business Development. Welcome to the Sustainable Commodities Podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to this podcast. Maybe a bit more about myself. So I lead our B2B engagement and business development with our palm oil and rubber and coconut players. And I'm not sure if you have heard about Koltiva yet, but we are a global traceability and service provider in the sustainable sourcing space. We started 11 years in the cocoa sector and have since then expanded in more than 50 commodities, including palm oil as well. In palm, we have been working since 2019 with many big players like Golden Agri Resources, Unilever, Wilmar, and many more.
And what have you been doing with them?
Yeah, so what makes us quite unique to many other of the tech service providers is that, of course, we provide an end-to-end tech solution. So what we do is we kind of digitalize upstream supply chain. So there is an app for the extension stuff to like map the farmers. There's an app for the dealer and cooperative to record, I call it the transactional traceability from farmer to dealer to palm oil mill.
Okay.
And then there's also an app for a farmer, so he can actually access all the data that has been collected on him. And there's also an app for the retail shop. And then you as a sustainable sourcing manager, for example, you could then access all the data that has been collected on the mobile apps, and you see it on nice dashboards, you see it on the polygons. Okay, are they deforestation free on a map? Are they located in protected area? But you see also all the other data on dashboards and nice reports.
And so it makes their job easier.
It makes their job easier. And many of the companies, what we realize is they don't have the people on the ground actually to digitalize all the work, and it's a lot of work. Especially if you look now at EUDR, many of the companies, they might have the data of the large scale plantation in their supply chain, but when it comes to smallholder farmers, they're often lost.
Yeah.
And that's where really Koltiva comes in, because we also, next to our software solution, we also provide our boots on the ground services and consultancy services. So we have literally hundreds of field agents globally that are visiting farmers every day.
Yeah, okay.
Map them. If they understand, okay, there are some issues with them, then we're also working with them on addressing like the risks in the supply chain.
Nice.
So you can come to us, and our approach is to really solve you a solution, not just to give you an app and say.
So
try to figure it out yourself.
That's it. So with you mentioned EUDR here, a popular topic on this podcast this year. What do you think of the delay? I guess for your business that's not particularly ideal, but more generally, what do you think of the delay?
Yeah. So I mean, we have started in the traceability space for quite some long time. So EUDR was of course a good boost for the business, but we do a lot of different stuff, from certification to just like working on the TTP with clients. So yes, of course it has effects, but I think in the end all these companies have to work on it anyways, right? I feel like what we as a service provider can do is we can just focus on providing the best services possible, the best platform in the sustainable sourcing journey, not just EUDR, but everything beyond. When we look now at the delay, and I think we will know more about it tomorrow.
Literally tomorrow. Yeah. As we speak, they're going to vote on the amendments tomorrow. So we're kind of we're predicting things here.
Yeah, and I think this is difficult to do, and you don't know what comes out. But like, let's say if there is like a 1 year delay, for companies that have not done anything, they're still they have only limited time left. From our experience, it takes really time to get ready. Especially if you have a complex supply chain and there's a lot of smallholders, you need to go there, you need to map them, you need to make sure that all the data formats are aligned and everything. So if you have not started, I think you are still under pressure to still deliver.
Yeah.
If you have done a lot, and this is what many of our clients are facing now, it's of course for them a big bummer, because they have invested millions in becoming ready, and they have done so much, and of course that goes a bit away if there's no delay. So they were expecting premiums for their EUDR compliant palm oil or rubber, but I always feel like they are now ahead of the curve, so they are very well positioned, because if I'm a downstream buyer like Nestle or Bridgestone or Michelin or whoever it is, maybe now I accepted a GeoJSON file that follows the format, because that's already where the suppliers are struggling with, right? Yeah. Providing a good, clean GeoJSON file. But if I have now 1 more year to go, I will make sure, okay, I have all my risk assessment properly done. So like have information maybe to my 8 legality criteria. So I think it will become stricter over time. And then the companies that have started now, they're already much more prepared.
So rather it being a massive rush and then kind of just here's the bare minimum, they can probably do it properly.
Yeah. So I think that's a big advantage. I mean, that's what we saw now. It created a lot of pressure everywhere, and it was just like, okay, let's at least get something out there. But like now, I think it can be done properly, and then it will put really then maybe also the bar higher, because in the end, these companies are still liable, right? And
of course.
Maybe they accepted now certain standards, and they were okay with just a clean GeoJSON file. But if they can reduce their risk further of maybe receiving a fine, then I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to do.
Great. Yeah. So looking at the kind of bigger picture, obviously as we're at the conference, we're at RT2024. What has been your big takeaway from the conference? What do you think the future of palm oil looks like?
Yeah, I think maybe I'm a bit biased as a tech service provider, but I feel like it's definitely going towards their digitalization and mechanization. Of course, like when you look at large-scale plantations, there's going to be more mechanization on improving the productivity and getting the fruit bunches faster to the mill and harvested and so on. But I feel like what I'm most excited about is actually like how will the smallholder space will evolve. And I think the EUDR really laid a bit the foundation of that. I feel that before, smallholders were invisible.
Yeah.
You had no idea about who they were, where they were, what are their issues. And now with the EUDR, you actually know this. Yeah. And you know where everybody is, you know what are the issues of it. And it becomes really interesting because we suddenly can show all the data to the companies and say, okay, this is actually the current conditions. And I think it will create more opportunities for them as well, because many of them lack legal documents, so the digitalization will help them to legalize their land. It will create, if you are able to achieve like transactional traceability, it will create a transaction record. So this will create then access to finance for the smallholder farmers, especially if they're digital, have a digital profile. And that's what they need, for replanting, for accessing fertilizers. They're quite expensive for smallholder farmers. I see a lot of opportunities there.
I mean, one of the big criticisms of EUDR was the potential exclusion of smallholders from the EU market. But you're painting a much more positive picture, which is nice to hear.
Yeah. I feel like in the palm oil space, again, because of the time frame, probably, what I saw or what I feel is that many palm oil companies, they did focus on large-scale plantations now, at least for this year.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is not where it's going to stick, right? They can't just say, okay, we're just selling now from large-scale plantation, but they will also feel under pressure to include smallholders later on, right? And then I think it becomes very key to include them. And I think the palm oil sector is in a very unique position that they have such large volume from large-scale plantations, but for example in rubber and in cocoa and coffee, you don't, right? And there it actually then creates much more, I think, also a lot of opportunities for the smallholder farmers. And yeah, I think they at least with all the EUDR premiums, I think the sector, for example, that were not making so much money anymore, like in rubber, I think it was like slowly like dying with low productivity and so on. I think was doing better, was helping actually the sector.
Interesting, really interesting. Well, thank you very much for your time, Luca. And where can people go to find out more about Koltiva?
So you can visit us at Koltiva.com and feel free to just reach out to us.
Great, thank you very much. Thanks for listening to this special edition of the Sustainable Commodities podcast. Next time, I'm going to sit down with my usual co-host Judith, and we're going to talk more about EUDR and some of the fallout from that, given the delay and the amendments that passed in November 2024. So join us next time, and thanks for listening. Bye.